Welcome back, everyone. If you love a deep dive into the real, often hidden mechanics of how we connect with one another, well, you are in the exact right place today. In this explainer, we're going to look at the anatomy of human connection, and we're going to do it through a truly beautiful, true to life story. We so often think that forging a bond with someone requires this massive event, a cinematic declaration, or, I don't know, years and years of shared history. But what if the absolute strongest foundations are actually built in total silence? So the big question is, can a single, quiet gesture really change the entire course of a relationship? This scenario we're exploring today answers that with a resounding yes. Okay, let's dive into this and look at exactly how two people moved from complete strangers to profound allies. Part 1. Two invisible classmates. Let's establish where our subjects, Ayan and Sara, started out. For years, Ayan and Sara had been classmates. Now they existed in this state of constant physical proximity, right? They sat in the exact same classroom, rode the very same school bus, crossed the exact same hallway every single day. Yet their emotional distance was just vast. Their entire relationship consisted of a polite hi, maybe a quick passing smile, and absolutely nothing more. But what's really interesting here is the massive gap between Ayan's internal self-perception and Sara's external reality. Ayan felt completely invisible. He just saw himself as another quiet student fading right into the background noise of the classroom. But Sara? Sara was silently observing his quiet resilience. She was actually paying attention. She saw, day after day, that no matter what he was working on, he literally never gave up. It's fascinating, isn't it? How we can feel completely unnoticed while someone right next to us is actively drawing inspiration from our quiet struggles. Section 2. The yellow sticky note. This brings us to the inciting incident that happened on a completely ordinary morning. That morning completely shattered Ayan's perception of himself, and it started this incredible chain reaction. Ayan walked into class and he just froze. Sitting right there on his desk was a small, totally unassuming yellow sticky note. He picked it up and it read, "You may not notice, but you never give up. That inspires me." Imagine that. He looked around the room completely confused until he saw Sara quietly looking down at her notebook. Ayan didn't even know what to say. No one had ever told him something like that before in his entire life. That simple two-line message made a young man who had always felt invisible feel truly, undeniably seen for the very first time. And that tiny catalyst sparked something absolutely incredible. That day, for the first time, Ayan and Sara actually talked. Now, it wasn't a lot, just a few words, a few smiles, but it was exactly enough to birth a foundation of what we call pure understanding. This is a really profound relationship dynamic. It's a connection based entirely on quiet, mutual support. There's zero drama, no showing off. They didn't suddenly become these loud, boisterous best friends for the whole school to see. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they simply became a quiet, steady harbor for one another. Part 3. An unexpected crisis. This is where their new bond faces a very real test. Over the next few days, they really began to talk and listen. Whenever Sara felt stressed, Ayan listened. As weeks passed, Sara's initial words to him, that "you never give up" line, actually became Ayan's core strength whenever he felt like throwing in the towel himself. Their bond was really compounding. But then, right on the eve of final exams, arguably the absolute most critical time of the year, that momentum abruptly crashed. Sara mysteriously didn't come to school. Ayan couldn't focus at all that day. He just knew something was fundamentally wrong. That evening, the tragic reality came to light. Sara's dad had been rushed to the hospital. Instantly, as you can imagine, all of her priorities had to shift. She suddenly had to stay home, step up, and take care of everything. And because of the sudden crises, she missed all of her vital revision classes right before finals. She was left feeling utterly exhausted, absolutely terrified about her father's health, and completely alone. Part 4. Returning the favor. A beautiful cycle of reciprocation. So Sara had once stepped way out of her comfort zone to support Ayan when he felt invisible. And now, Ayan was about to perfectly mirror that initial act of kindness when she needed it the most. The very next morning, right at sunrise, Ayan left a folder on Sara's doorstep, and inside was this massive academic lifeline. Every single missed chapter, every single summary, every important point she needed for her finals. And the best part? It was all written out meticulously and neatly by Ayan. He dropped this incredible lifeline right onto her porch while the rest of the world was still sleeping. On the front page of that folder, Ayan left his own message. It read, "You once wrote me a note that changed my life. Now it's my turn. You are stronger than you think." When Sara read those words for the very first time in this whole ordeal, she cried. But she didn't cry from the fear of her father's hospitalization or even the crushing stress of the exams. No, she cried from the profound, overwhelming realization that someone truly, deeply cared about her. Section 5. The Power of Quiet Bonds. Let's zoom out here for our big takeaway. You know, society loves to sell us on loud relationships. We get this idea pushed on us that connections need big gestures, dramatic declarations, and fairy tale moments to be valid. But in reality, quiet bonds, the ones characterized by small notes, pure understanding, and deep unspoken strength, those are often far more powerful. So the absolutely crucial point we need to take away from this is that real life-altering connections do not require grand displays. The connection that fundamentally makes you a better human being isn't necessarily a loud one. In fact, often, the absolute strongest bonds we will ever form are the quietest ones. Ayan and Sara actually both kept copies of that same yellow sticky note as they grew up. It served as a permanent reminder of this exact truth. Sometimes the absolute smallest message is enough. So I want to leave you with this question to think about today. Whose world could you change with just one small note? Look around your classroom, your office, your home. Who is fighting a quiet battle right now, and who just needs to know that they are seen? Be the person who leaves the note. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.